Hello Tokusatsu community and welcome back to Toku Topics. Today is a pretty special and important day for not just, Power Rangers in general, but for my experience with Power Rangers in general, because today, February 7th, 2021, is the 10th anniversary of the premiere of Power Rangers Samurai on Nickelodeon. It aired on Monday night, February 7th, 2011, and it was kind of a reboot, sort of. It was the first Power Rangers season in over a year, since 2010 only had the reversioning of MMPR airing on ABC Kids and everything like that. So it was the first episodes of Power Rangers that were actually new episodes to premiere since the end of RPM in 2009. So, and like I had said, it's the first season they aired on Nickelodeon. It kind of kickstarted the whole tradition of how Power Rangers is kind of seen all the way up to now, with Dino Fury coming out in a couple of weeks. And so I figured, what better way to celebrate the 10th anniversary of Samurai than to watch the very first episode that started it all, that aired on February 7th, 2011 at 8 p.m. on Nickelodeon, The Team Unites, which is not the first episode of Samurai, it is the third episode of Samurai, because Nickelodeon decided it would be funny or something to air the third episode first, and then air the first two later as like an origin special. So this is the 703rd episode of Power Rangers overall, but it's very special to me because it's the very first episode of Power Rangers that I had ever watched. So, and I haven't watched this episode in I don't even know how many years, so I think it's fitting as well. If you follow me on Twitter, you might have seen my Josh PR Watch 2021 threads that I keep updating, which was originally supposed to be a challenge in 2019 to watch every single episode of Power Rangers in 1 year. And then I very much failed at that challenge, and I've been slacking on it for the past 2 years if you follow that thread. But this past week I binged through Jungle Fury and RPM. In fact, RPM just took me this past weekend to get to this point tonight here so I can watch this episode on the anniversary. So here it is, the very first episode of Power Rangers that I ever watched. Here we go.
Centuries ago in Japan, Nihilok monsters invaded our world.
This intro never gets old. I saw this on Nickelodeon like a million times. So prior to 2011, my experience with Power Rangers had been very minor. The only memories of it that I can even think of was I remember seeing like a commercial on TV on Nickelodeon or whatever around like 2007 during like when Overdrive was airing. I think I remember seeing commercials for Overdrive toys, even though I never bought any or anything like that. I never had them when I was a kid. And also, I had gotten a couple of the McDonald's toys that were released, I think, might have been Overdrive, maybe Dino Thunder or something. Like the Yellow Ranger with the little, like, switch where the arm, does a karate chop. Or the Mighty Morphin Red Ranger on top of that lightning bolt that, like, fired the little cardboard discs. So I did have those, even though I just threw them into my bins with a bunch of other miscellaneous Happy Meal toys because I, wasn't into Power Rangers. I hadn't thought of those to be anything cool or anything like that, nothing I wasn't interested in for only like 5 seconds or something. And that was really my extent of Power Ranger knowledge. I never watched the show. I never grew up watching it. I never had heard of any of the seasons. I didn't know anything about it. I couldn't tell you how it worked or anything. I think I just probably very vaguely knew what it even was at all. Oh yeah, the super lawnmowers. I mean, it's a cool morph sequence, don't get me wrong, but later on it's used so many times to just pan out the episode. It is cool though, I will give it that. I do like the look of it. So back then I used to watch Nickelodeon all of the time. I would pretty much watch literally any show that they threw in front of my face. I grew up watching SpongeBob, of course, that was my favorite, but I would pretty much watch any new series premiere if they hyped it up as something, because Nickelodeon was always hyping up brand new shows and everything like that. And I remember very vividly that there was 2 shows that they were hyping up for 2011. It was Power Rangers Samurai, and it was also House of Anubis, which is another one of my all-time favorite Nickelodeon shows, but that's not the point of this video, but that was at the same time. But so I knew that coming into 2011 I'd be checking out those 2 shows, or at least I figured I probably would watch the premiere at least or something like that, because like I said, I would pretty much watch anything that was put in front of me from Nickelodeon. And to give you a frame of reference, at the time I was 9 years old when these promos and stuff started airing. My birthday is in May, so I would turn 10 only a couple months after Samurai had premiered. to give you a frame of reference on that. But so, I was pretty young, especially in terms of the Power Rangers like demographic. Usually I was kind of at the the higher end of where it's aimed towards. So it was interesting that I got into it so late into its target demographic of the age, and it's even more amazing that it has become such a big part of my life as it has today. Finally, in 2012, I got my very first Power Ranger toys for my 11th birthday. My more official ones, I don't count those Happy Meal ones as my actual firsts, but the very first Power Ranger toy that I ever received was from my parents. It was this, the Toys R Us exclusive 2-pack of the Claw Armor Megazord. So the Samurai Megazord and the Claw Battlezord together in one set. And then that birthday, I also got some birthday money that I used on Amazon to buy my first Power Rangers figures. And then I set out in 2012, it was my main goal of little 11-year-old me, was to make the Gigazord. I had already seen a bunch of people on YouTube have the Gigazord, and I was really jealous of it. And I was like, oh, I gotta have that. And I got the final piece of it, the Shark Zord, so I could have it hold that on Christmas Day in 2012, which is also when my parents got me the Ranger Key set of Shinkenger, and also the one of set 5, which had the Shinken Gold Key in it. So that was my very first Ranger Key purchase ever, was that Christmas. I finished the Gigazord and I got Ranger Keys, which were my very first Japanese toy I ever got. And yeah, obviously we know where that went with my love of Ranger Keys. It continues all the way to this day, still advocating for more.
I'll stand by this. I think the Samurai cockpit is pretty cool. And I even like Mega Mode, even though I know it was just a gimmick to sell figures, obviously. Which I bought into that gimmick. But I still really think it looks cool, especially on gold with how chrome it is. Oh, it looks fantastic. It's just in recent years when we continue the trend of Megazord cockpit forms and just gray background Megazords, which we're getting once again in Dino Fury, is when it just starts to become very, repetitive.
Just focus.
Of course, I want to thank all of you guys for being here to watch the video, to comment on the channel. I love so much to talk to you guys on Twitter. For the people who do follow me there, I'm on there quite frequently. I love this stuff so much. I think it's amazing that there's an online community that is surrounded around it, that loves it just as much, or maybe even more than I do, if that's even possible. And I never would have known. I mean, like I said, I watched so many Nickelodeon shows. I never thought that this one of the sea of many ones that they threw in my face, like I canceled or I didn't like or whatever, never would have thought that this was going to be the start of my lifelong passion, or literally at least half of my life passion, of Tokusatsu. I mean, I would have never been able to know that. Like, 9-year-old me would be super shocked to find out what I was doing 10 years later. I wouldn't even have been able to comprehend it or believe it. And here we are today. So...
And that's the episode. The first episode of Samurai that ever aired 10 years ago today. Which is just absolutely crazy. But I think it holds up decently well. It's obviously not the greatest episode of Power Rangers ever created or anything like that. But yeah, I think it's a pretty good run-of-the-mill Green Ranger Focus episode, although it is definitely an odd one to pick as the very first episode to ever air on Samurai over on Nickelodeon, but, I think it still holds up pretty well. I like it a lot.
Guys, I want to thank you all so much for watching this episode of Toku Topic Stuff. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and please let me know down below how you got into Tokusatsu. Do you like Samurai? Was Samurai, did it bring you back into the franchise? Did you start with it like I did? If you were a Power Rangers fan before, if you were a Power Rangers fan during the Disney era, first of all, I envy you, because I would have loved to be able to watch those shows live, and I never was able to get that experience, or collect any of that stuff back when the Disney era was happening, and I'm super jealous of it. So let me know. I would love to know just where did you guys start? what does samurai mean to you? Thank you, pumpkin wrapper. Wait, was that pumpkin wrapper? Anyway, not gonna let that distract me anymore. Just let me know. Let's have a conversation down in the chat. Thank you guys for watching this video here on Toku Topics. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Be sure to follow me on Twitter at the 2 different places I'm going to put right here. And of course, until next time, everyone, happy 10 years to Samurai. Happy 10 years to Power Rangers continuing from Disney's many cancellations. And here's to whatever Hasbro decides to do with it for the next 10 years, 20 years, however many. I'll be along for the ride, and it wouldn't have started without Samurai. So, happy 10th anniversary, Samurai. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you next time. Tokusatsu forever.